Hello everyone, welcome back. Okay, Chinese elm back in again, this big one. These are two. This one was one I took an air layer off the top of. So I planted that on that side. It used to be just this big one. If you've seen my last video or two ago, this one. It used to just be this tree on these rocks. But then I decided to put another couple of trees on it just to kind of, it looked a bit kind of tall and kind of, unstable looking, if anything. So I just kind of balanced it out with a couple more trees. So that one I laid the top off, so it was just kind of flat, chopped off, and so I've been growing a couple of branches on that one. And this is one that I bought recently. This was it last year? Excuse me. It had some it was in a bad state. It was one of these ones you get in the supermarkets and stuff. Really bad roots, long leggy roots and bad root base on it. So I put that one up on the edge there, so it can be growing up and over the edge. So I'm going to, and like that, I've just been kind of pruning these to kind of start taking a bit of shape. And obviously the big guy up here needs a bit of cleaning up. It's starting to shoot out all over the place. So we'll get on with it. I suppose I'll start with the bottom ones first, and then we'll go on to the big main tree afterwards. So I'll just bring the camera in a little bit closer while I'm working on these two lower ones. Okay, so as always, pruning to outward facing leaves. I don't want to build these kind of paths by letting long branches grow and then wiring them and all that kind of stuff. I want to kind of grow them slowly, kind of fill them out with lots of shorter branches. I think it looks a little bit more natural than just wiring one branch and twisting the daylights out of it. So to do that, you got to kind of keep on top of the pruning so you don't end up with lots of big, strong, heavy branches. Branches coming off under here. Get rid of them. Just coming off the main trunk. So they fill out quite quick enough, really. If you go back to one of my last videos on this, I'm not sure when it was, but you will see these trees, how they were when I put them in. They weren't great, but they're starting to fill out now. Starting to get a little bit of structure to them. Take that branch out there. Just want to create division between the branches. I can. Okay, so now we're starting to get a few different layers here. And eventually we can maybe bring this one down. We could maybe even do that now. I might do that now. While it's young, get it bent down slightly, and we can start building another pad down there. So I'll just grab a piece of wire for that. So I don't want to be doing, I want to be doing as little wiring as I can on them. Because like that, wiring takes time. I don't mind doing wiring, but it's just the taking out the wire off and all that kind of stuff. And when you have a lot of trees, it's kind of, if you can do it without, then I'd rather do it without, and that way then it's one less tree I have to de-wire and stuff. But it is good sometimes just to get some wire on at the start when you're training the tree. Get the branches starting to grow in the places you want them. And then once they're kind of set in that place, you can work on creating pads with them by clip and grow. Okay, so that's just separated that one from them. So now we can kind of just take that off there, so that's separated. So now we've kind of got 3 different pads there now, instead of 1. Have a look at this one here. It's okay really. Like that, we can do a bit of tweaking as time goes on. We need to change something or move a branch up or down or whatever, we can do that. But for now I think that one's okay. That one's starting to take shape. Okay, this guy needs a little bit more work. They're really starting to grow good and strong. See, the trees are wet. We're actually getting some good rain today, which is good. We've needed it. Can finally get my barrels filled. These ones growing down, and any growing straight up, we'll get rid of them as well. Okay, so that pad looks quite good. Let's have a look at this one. Some of them leaves that are coming off the main trunk in there. Okay, so that's that one done, and now we've been starting to grow a bit of an apex pad up here now, because it was just chopped there. You can see the big chop in it there. So we're kind of growing this branch out the side. We're sending up some, and some of these grow up to create kind of apex out the top. Have a back branch as well here. We can get that kind of prune back a little bit. pruning these a little bit long because I do want these to keep filling out and growing upwards a bit, yeah, just to help build the apex. There's 2 of them. So yeah, so that's kind of that one at the moment. Just filling out. There's still a bit to go with this one. Because we're basically starting with a chopped stump, but it's getting there. It's starting to take shape. Just take them back a little bit, and eventually we'll get that filled out more, and we can maybe then start separating some of these. This one we can bring down a bit too, and maybe like that we can separate these as well when the time comes. Create a pad up here and another one down here, but for now that'll do for that one. Okay, we've got little shoots coming out the roots here on the big tree, so we'll get rid of them. One here. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the big tree. It's quite high, so I might lift it off this little table I've got it on here. Quite heavy with them rocks. There are actually 3 rocks that I've cemented together a few years ago. Okay, so main tree, if you haven't seen this tree before, it was in a real sorry state. Again, it was in a garden centre, but it was on the top shelf indoors. The roots were crazy long, and it was in a kind of like a pot, maybe like this. Not the exact pot, but it's probably in something like this. And it was just kind of hanging over, and it was just didn't look great. There was very little foliage on it. It just had big long branches with a bit of foliage on the ends because they're obviously trying to reach for the light. So we pruned it all back, and it was a matter of chopping all the roots off and trying to grow it like a cutting, or do something with it like this, which was to plant it over something pretty tall. You can see all the roots there. I kind of just put a bit of putty stuff in there just to hold it on until it's set, but I would say it's pretty gripped onto that now. It's been over them for a couple of years now. Okay, so as you can see, these are really starting to shoot out everywhere. I'm just kind of hedge prune this more so than individual branches. If I find there's somewhere I need to send a branch, then I'll prune it to the right outward facing leaf, but for now I'm just going to kind of hedge prune them. They respond quite well to it. Just making sure we clean out our gaps between our pads. Just going to take off all these ones that are shooting up. Do have a wire on this one, pulling this branch up, or that one down, I can't remember which it was. I'll have to go back and look at my video and see why I put that on there. It's just a little guy wire, just to kind of tweak the branch a little bit. This tree, when I got it, I also did a big chop in it. You can't see it now, but it had another kind of funny bit on the top, so I chopped the top off. And it's got a big scar in there, but it's healing up really well. Almost closed in now. But this is the kind of way I like to grow my Chinese elms. Start your branches off in the right direction, and then once they've set and they're filled out, then you can kind of just prune them like this. Keep them kind of tight and hedge pruned a bit. And you don't have to keep wiring and stuff. Anytime you have to put any wire on them is if you need to just tweak something. I don't like to leave them grow very long unless one is a bit sick, not growing too good, then I might just leave it grow and then send out big long shoots then just to get its health back. But to be honest, that very rarely happens. They seem to enjoy being trimmed because they seem to respond quite well from it. So yeah, because if you start leaving them grow big long shoots out like these kind of things, if this keeps growing, it's just going to get stronger and thicker and heavier, and then when you prune it back here, you end up with a big fat stub at the end of your kind of your branch or whatever. So you want to keep the kind of edges fine. You need to kind of keep on top of the pruning. You want to keep fine branches out to your ends of your pads. That's the way I do it, and other people might do it differently, and each to their own, but this is just the way I do it. And it seems to work okay for me, so I'm happy with it. I have some moss around the bottom of these, you can't see them now, but just on the roots, just to when I planted them, just to kind of help them transition into the soil better, keep the moisture in, maybe get them to spread out a few more roots. And so if you leave these grow too long, they start sapping energy out of the branch they're on, and the leaves behind then start to suffer. You can't use them anyway, because you can't use that unless you're going to wire it and do something crazy with it. So once they get to a certain length, I like to get rid of them before they really start to sap energy. And you can see that pruning it like this keeps the leaves really small, nice and small and tight foliage. So especially if you're a beginner, don't be afraid to prune your Chinese elms. So the more you prune them, the smaller and tighter the foliage gets, and the stronger they get, and the denser your pads will get. And like that, don't be afraid, because they will fill out pretty quickly. If you make a mistake, take a branch off that you didn't want to, you can always grow it back. They do grow out pretty quick. Here. Okay, so that's kind of it pruned, getting rid of all the long bits sticking out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and just divide up the pads a little bit, where I can to create gaps. It's like that. See, once you've got gaps through it, you don't want it all as one giant pad. It kind of looks more miniaturized if you can turn it into lots of small pads. Not so much down the bottom. You kind of don't mind bigger pads down the bottom, but when you get up into the apex, you want to kind of divide all this up if you can. So I just normally get each branch and kind of just round it off a little bit. Don't worry, like I said, it'll fill in. But just make it so you can just identify each pad individually if you can. It means taking off a few little heavier branches. Pluck out anything inside there. Like a branch here now, I could probably remove that branch in there just to create a bit more of a space like that. Just gives you a gap then in there. The camera's picking that up from that angle. Wondering if that wire has done its job. I think it has, so we can take that off now. Little guy wire. Okay, so I'm hoping you can see the difference. I can see it, but I'm not sure how well the camera picks it up. A lot of it's done with my fingers. I just go in, because you got a lot of backbudding and a lot of new shoots coming off the branches and things, so I just kind of go in with my fingers and pluck them out, and that kind of helps with the, see them in here now, just helps with being able to see in more to the trunk. Okay, so you can kind of get the gist of what I'm doing, so I'll keep going with it and I'll pause the video and then we'll come back and have a look at the finished product. Okay, so this is the back now, but I've just put a bit of wire onto this branch here just so I can drop it down a bit. Again, just to tweak it a little bit so we can start filling in that gap there. Like that, rather than having it up here with these. Now we've got a separate pad up there, down here, sorry. Okay, so I think we're pretty much done with the wiring. And there was a piece of wire wrapped around the tree here which was holding this guy wire on, which I think we're done with, so taking that off. I was just pulling that branch up there down a bit. There's another piece of wire in here and you can see it's just starting to bite in. So while we're at it, we'll take him off. These are just wires that I put on like that just to tweak branches with the filling them out a bit. The best thing to do is just snip the wire into short pieces. It's this dense rather than trying to unwind the wire. Just end up breaking branches. So I just go in with it. Pair of snips. Just kind of snip it wherever I can get to it. To this one, so we'll get rid of that as well. There's a few snips along it. Okay, they just fall off then. Okay, so I think we're pretty good there now. Thinned out quite a lot. I'm not too sure if the camera's picking that up. You can see there's kind of lots of gaps now that weren't there. If I can get the camera above it. That weren't there before, it was just one solid block of leaves. Now at least we have some gaps in it. Okay, so let's have a look at it now from a distance. If I'm looking at it through the camera's eye, you kind of spot things. So the front is about there. Yeah, I think I'm kind of happy with it. Obviously the camera's making it look like this gap here is a lot bigger than it actually is. And things like that. Yeah, I think we're happy with that. So we'll put it out, let it get a shower out in the rain while it's raining, and we'll leave it at that for this one. So as always guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.